Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Networking with Michelle. I'm your host, Michelle Gomez. That is a sigh of relief. I have made it through my first week of teaching. I can't remember if I addressed this or not on the Touching Base episode, but in September, I accepted a job with a teaching position with Remington College. And I'm not going to go into all of the details, but right now, Remington College is an adult career college where they offer digital assistant, medical coding and billing, business programs. So basically, if you need certifications in the medical industry or associate's degree, you can go there and, do your thing, do your educational thing. And they cater to those that are working adults in the sense that maybe they're looking for a career change. They're probably in a dead to low income job and they're trying to upstart their career into the health profession in a couple of areas. And I've been looking for an adjunct position for almost 3 years. As soon as I was wrapping up my master's, I've been applying for various teaching positions. Finally got one. They called first and just finished my first week of teaching. And boy, was it an experience. It was a trip. And they hired me to teach Microsoft Office. So, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And the first day, they also gave me a career development class for the business and criminal justice students. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. It's been interesting. And I think even in this 1 week, Monday through Thursday, I got some phone calls, emails, different opportunities that have come up, and it was hard to make a decision. It was hard I have this commitment. I'm all about keeping my commitments. I have a commitment. I'm teaching. I'm supposed to teach for 4 weeks, and then I'm off for 4 weeks. And even though this isn't the ideal situation I have when it comes to, let me back up. I guess I should tell you about my schedule. I'm teaching Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So that's a tough schedule. And I'm at 2 different campuses. And my commute is anywhere from 45 minutes in the morning to 90 minutes in the evening. Okay. And that's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule. Houston's big. It's spread out. So that's a lot. But I got a couple of emails and phone calls this week. And I think for a slight moment, I was second guessing myself. One of the biggest things when I took on this job, I knew because of the hours, there was this chance of me losing momentum in my business. In September, I had a great month. I was speaking, had 4 speaking events. I was doing a lot of things, got my videos, all that kind of stuff wrapped up recently. And if I was teaching, would I lose momentum with just my speaking and community activities and visibility and all those things? And yesterday I got a call and trying to line up the speaking engagement. Before we even got to the negotiation, just the time, the availability was a factor. And I got off the call and I was like, if anything changes, just keep me in mind. So we're going to see how that plays out. But for that moment in my car, I was like, man, did I make the right decision? I know this is only one speaking event, but I believe in patterns, sequence of events, right? I haven't done anything for a few weeks, for I guess 2 weeks now, or 3 weeks. Of course, the first week of school, and opportunity comes, and I have to say no. And I think I say this, I have this quote: when you are good at what you do, you will always be afforded opportunities. And I think with entrepreneurs, we always have opportunities. We're like, okay, this is going to happen if I work with this type of client, this type of brand, company. This is a great opportunity. It can increase my visibility and all those things. And then, of course, whether it's a yes or no, if something goes wrong, we're like, man, wait, did I make the right decision? Was I supposed to go right, but I went left? Do I wait? Do I not say anything for a few days? Or did I say yes too quickly? And it's just hard, managing those thoughts, those decision-making processes can be very difficult. A couple of weeks ago, I had a complete, had a breakdown with my best friend, and I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened, but it was like a Tuesday morning, woke up at 8:00, and I just knew it was going to be a bad day. Like, as soon as my feet hit the ground, I knew it was going to be a bad day. And I think bad days are overstatement at this point, but it was a very emotional day because people were calling me. I mean, everyone was calling me, and they didn't want my advice. They wanted me to make a decision for them. And I was overwhelmed because I was stuck on a decision I needed to make myself regarding my business, not even a personal matter, but my business. So over the past several days, I've just been thinking like, man, what am I going to do for this week's podcast? And today I want to talk about decision mapping. So before I get to that, I did this exercise with my students this week, and I asked them a question. And the question is, if I said, hey, meet me here Friday morning, because there's no class on Fridays. Meet me here Friday morning at 6 a.m. and I'll give you $1,000. Or meet me here every day for the next 30 days. I'll give you a penny and I'll double it every day that you come. What would you rather have? $1,000. I want $1,000. I need that money now. I was like, you need a thought? Okay, you know what? Let's make it $1 million. I'll give you $1 million. You meet me here Friday morning. I'll be here at 4:30 a.m. and I'll just sleep in my car. I need that $1 million. All of these outrageous answers and all that kind of stuff. And then, so I was like, okay, once you make that decision, you can't change your mind. Okay. So everyone wants from the 1,000 to $1 million. And then I draw on the board, the sequence of events, day 1, a penny, day 2, 2 cents, day 3, 4 cents. And I go through all of that. And then at the end of 30 days, you have $5.3 million. And if you're lucky, and there's 31 days in the month, you can have $10.6, $10.7 million. And it absolutely blew their minds. Like, what? Pennies? And all that kind of stuff. And the reason why I did that exercise with them, because it's the principle of short-term versus long-term decisions. Short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. And a lot of them were very surprised. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know. You're too deep, Miss Gomez. All these types of things. And I was like, look, this is what school is about. This is what school is about. And even though I did that exercise with them like minutes ago, I kind of felt like I was in my car and I'm like, oh my God, am I turning down the speaking gig? And I told the lady, I was like, look, I just started teaching like this week, and I don't feel comfortable taking off of work right now. So I was like, you know what? I know other people are struggling with this because I get asked all the time, Michelle, I don't see you out. How do you say no so quickly? Are you sure it's a good opportunity? Elbow on the side, wink, wink, hint, hint. But I just wanted to share with you on how I make my decisions, on how I make my big decisions in my life. And you're probably hearing my phone vibrate, so I apologize. So first of all, at the end of 2015, going into this year, 2016, I read the book Essentialism by Gregory McKeown. Gregory McKeown. And this book is an absolute life changer. Now, you probably heard of The One Thing. I think those books are very, very, very close together. I think Essentialism is more about, from what I took from the book, it's about saying no and having your greatest level of contribution within your immediate circle going out. And with The One Thing, I feel like it's all about focus and time blocking. Those books go hand in hand. If you can read those books back to back, y'all know I love Drake. If y'all can read those books back to back, the powerful, dynamic, life-changing books. And I think once again, as we're going into the fourth quarter, I'm about to read both of these books back to back to get my mind right so I can finish teaching. But seriously, going into 2017. And even though these notes are kind of old, just going over everything again, I was like, man, I do need to read this book again. So if you have this book, let me get back to my notes here. This is Essentialism wrapped up. Essentialism is a disciplined, systematic approach for determining where our highest point of contribution lies, then making execution of those things almost effortlessly. He said effortless. And it goes on to show you what I like. It has this picture of a bunch of squiggly lines because, say my life is in chaos. I need to get my life right, all that kind of stuff. And then the essentialist, it's just circles. It's just circles, right? It's a continuous loop. And he goes on to say, the non-essentialist says, I have to. It's all important. How can I fit all of this in? But the essentialist says, I choose to. Only a few things really matter. What are the trade-offs? And once again, it's hard to find trade-offs because if you're an entrepreneur or you're type A, leadership driven, ambitious, every opportunity is a good opportunity. You're going to be able to leverage anything. Someone says, hey, can you do this for free? Absolutely, right? You're going to say, yeah, I can do it for free because, I know you have 100,000 followers. I don't know, something crazy. But I think we get sucked in that vacuum and we don't have to. So I'm going to share with you 8 questions. It's a lot. 8 questions that I ask myself when I have these major decisions to make. And I did this with Remington. And don't get me wrong, I have those moments like, But I wanted to share with you these 8 questions I asked myself that derive from this book on what has been helping me to make these decisions this year. And it actually gives reason as to why I work so hard or why I'm not around as much, and helping me gain the consistency that I need, whether it's online or offline. So the first question, what are my core values? What are the organization's core values? And I've really been harping on this year for myself. Definitely integrity, loyalty, being diligent, doing your good work in the most reasonable amount of time. And I believe my core values transcend into my business philosophy. right? I think recently my videographer, Waken Visions Media, I had to pay him. He finished the video on a Thursday night. I was actually planning on going out of town, decided not to for a couple of different reasons. So I was like, look, we got to meet on Friday. So if I don't meet with you by Sunday latest, you're not going to get cash from me. I'm going to start this job. At that time, I planned on being in Webster, Texas, and south of Houston. And I know he lives on the north side. I was like, if I don't see you on Sunday, I can't give you cash. I'll have to send the money to you via PayPal online. I'll, pay for the fees or whatever. And I didn't have to tell him that, right? But I told him that because I know, one, he's used to me giving him cash. So he was probably looking forward to that cash. But two, I don't like doing funny business, especially when I got to pay you. I hate when people, you did the work or you owe me some money. And then, like, okay, yeah, we can meet on Friday. And then all of a sudden you calling that person. Any other time you call them, they answer the phone. One ring, they answer the phone. But now that they got to pay you some money, they start missing your phone calls. Or they don't call back right away. It's like, you just don't even hear, like, it's like Friday at 6:00 in the evening. It's like, man, dog, I'm sorry I missed your call. Like, no, no. I'm trying to operate with the fullest of integrity. And if I have to share a little bit more information for you to have context as to what I'm going through or where I'm at right now and why we got to do it this way, absolutely, right? And I believe your core values translate into obviously business, philosophy, and the culture, the company culture you're trying to create, whether you're a solopreneur with an assistant or you're trying to have a small business grow into a corporation. Okay. So number one, what are your core values? Two, how many people can I impact? Now, this is a big one for me. I'm really focusing. I don't know if it's because, I'm getting older, but right now I'm in that mind frame of impact and legacy. And I was shared with you on the last episode, the whole thing about teaching, reading to my stuffed animals since the age of 8. And I was like, man, I think I'm ready to teach because I can share this knowledge with students, right? Whether they're young or old. And it's not just reading from the book, but it's my experiences. Like these business students in the career development class, a lot of them want to start their own business. And I'm blessed to have experience in corporate with some major financial institutions, as well as being 3 years in business. And they're like, man, like you have real life scenarios, not this stuff coming from the book. And they're appreciative of that. And I think my perspective, I'm understanding my voice right now. And my perspective is allowing me to make those small impacts at the school and even among my network. Okay. 3, what is the essential intent? Okay. So once again, opportunities come all the time if you are great at what you do. But why does this person want to get you involved? And if you are slightly interested, I guess it's the basic question, what's your why, right? But not on the greater scale, but on the small scale, why do you want to do this specific thing? Why do you want to do this specific opportunity? Okay. Now, this is something I struggle with. Number 4, is the duration manageable? This is so important. Time frames. Oh my God. I'm starting to realize over the past couple of years, I am great with short-term projects. Short-term, like today. We done in a couple hours. I'm great at that stuff, right? No, but seriously, I feel like I'm one of those people, if you drop me into the system, tell me what I need to do, know, and all that stuff. And if I have the freedom to make suggestions and tweaks, I am great in that environment, right? When it comes to long term and me creating from scratch, it becomes slightly difficult for me because there's so many variables that continue to pop up. So think about that. Are you a short-term or a long-term project? What do you prefer? What's best for you? Maybe if you're serving on the board, that's usually a 1 to 2 year commitment. Are you able to serve on an additional board for an additional year? Probably not, right? But maybe if you can go in, do a couple of consultations on a quarterly basis, that might be sufficient for you. Okay. So number 4, is the duration manageable? Number 5, will this activity or effort make the highest possible contribution toward my goal? Will this activity or effort make the highest possible contribution toward my goal? So, as I stated earlier this year, I finished reading Essentialism, and I had a meeting with this guy, and he was creating this festival here in Houston, and he was going on his second year. And I missed it the first year. I heard about it through radio and all this other marketing the first year. And I think I met him before the first year, but for whatever reason, we couldn't sync. And beginning of 2015, 2016, we met again, more formal, like let's sit down and talk, not the introduction. And he wanted me to work on the festival. And it wasn't that I couldn't see the vision, but my current situation to me wouldn't allow me to work on the festival, right? Basically, I wanted to get paid. And I guess this goes back to number 4 as well. From January when we met, maybe February, to the festival being in August, I was like, sir, dude, there's no way I can work for the next 6 to 8 months for free on something like this. There's just no way. And the stuff he wanted me to do wasn't revenue driven. So it was more on the strategy and stuff like that, not the sponsorships or anything like that. So there wasn't the option of even doing something for commission. And I was just like, I could not see it, right? And it's not that I didn't believe in the vision. I haven't been to the festival, but I know from the appearance, it looks like it's doing very well. But I know when I wrote down my goals for 2016 festival, even though it's very simple in layman's terms, that wasn't on my goal. That's not on my vision. Doing a festival, that's out of my lane, right? Yes, I'm great at marketing. I'm a great marketer, strategist, but operating a festival, that's not what I do. That's not what I'm trying to do. I have no interest in doing it. And I think that's where people get confused with opportunities, right? Because you are good at, that 1 or 2 things within your industry, your lane, your target audience. And then someone on the top right corner, that cloud, comes in and is like, hey, Michelle, I would love to bring you into this. And it's like, you know how much research I have to do just to catch up? I don't think people consider that, And I was like, I have to decline. I was like, I can do this. These are things that you need to change for it to be more appealing on the marketing side. I gave them that write-up. That probably took me like an hour or 2. But that was easy for me to do versus working for free over the next 6 to 8 months on something that I didn't have an essential intent because it wasn't the first thing on my mind. It definitely wasn't on my goal for 2016. Number 6, what do I feel deeply inspired by? Of course, impact, right? I'm trying to get to the point where I'm able to share my voice. Right now, I'm all about provoking thought and challenging action when it comes to relationship building, also known as networking and entrepreneurship, right? And I think this is one voice that creeped in my head, speaking of the festival, right? So this is a festival catering to African Americans in Houston. I say middle class, middle to wealthy African Americans in Houston. And this is how my mind was thinking, right? And I don't know if it's twisted or what. Obviously I said no, but this is how I was like, man, he's expecting 3,000 people in attendance. If I can just get on that stage and say, marketed by Line 25 Consulting, I'm gonna be the Houstonian or a household name and whatever. Like that's how my mind was thinking, right? But am I gonna work for free for 6 to 8 months just to say a 3-minute soundbite? Really? Or, and I was like, okay, well, I can leverage, if I can have my logo and all the sponsorship and packaging and, increase my visibility of my Line 25 logo. And I think that's how lots of times we justify stuff, especially when it's free. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm not inspired, but like, this is not my goal. This is not my vision. Or even if it's not my vision, it doesn't match with my vision and my initiatives, especially right now in my life, this time in my life for 2016. What am I particularly talented at? Marketing. Yeah. And even if we all have the skill and the talent, but does it fit in? Does it coincide? And I think that's what we have to ask ourselves time in and time out, over and over again, when people approach us with these opportunities. And the last one, what meets a significant need in the world? It's getting deep. What meets a significant need in the world? And I think you just have to assess where you are, right? I think this one is definitely a legacy question. Going back to your self-awareness and playing to your strengths, I think depending on the type of business and how you want to shape your business, maybe you do ask that in the beginning stages. But I'm here now, so I'm asking myself now, what meets a significant need in the world? I'm pro-education. I believe in formal education. Last month, I had a chance to sit down with a young woman that wants to build, I believe, a charter school here in Houston. I was just like, wow, like I would have never thought I would be involved in education the way I am, right? Now, obviously, I'm teaching adults. This is what I've wanted to do for a long time. Never wanted to teach in public school, but always wanted to teach. This is an outlet. Now, if I can find ways, it's not about me being a founding member or whatever, but if I can find ways to maybe financially contribute to this charter school, or even if I'm not financially able, if I'm able to expand my network to people that are in the education lane, in the education field, nonprofit field, that can have great partnerships with the school, by all means, I'll do so, right? I don't need my name on the board to do that. But at the same time, I want to believe my work, right? My work, whether it's marketing, networking, speaking, whatever you want to call it, my relationships will help make those significant changes in the world, whether it's Houston, regional, national, and international. So this is a question. This is a question I have for you. Got less than 70 days before the year is up. Right now, I know you're good at what you do. I know that. What opportunity is being offered to you? What opportunity is being offered to you? What are your minimum criteria for this option, for you to even consider this option. And on the extreme side, what is the ideal criteria for this option to be approved? So those are 3 things I want you to think about. Currently you are faced with the opportunity. Someone has offered you something within the past couple of days, or they're about to, right? And I want you to ask yourself, what are your minimum criteria for this to even be considered? And then on the extreme side, what is the ideal criteria for it to be approved? I used to say this joke because I graduated high school in Atlanta, and I've been in Houston for the past 16 years. And everyone's like, "Y'all, you left Atlanta to come here. Why are you going to go back?" And I was like, I would never move back to Atlanta. And people would ask me, "What if you got a job making $70,000 a year?" I was like, no. Like, just flat out no, right? Because I've learned early on money isn't everything. So I've learned that hard lesson already. But 70,000 to move to Atlanta, like I'm not even considering it. Maybe I'll consider it at 100,000. I don't know. But I think you have to put those standards in place to think like, what do I have in place? What do I have in line? What is the standard and the trajectory of my business for me to even consider this opportunity? Right? And then I guess if you are considering it, you have those things listed. And then on the left-hand side, right? So you have your consideration. This is just coming to me right now. On the left-hand side, maybe you have your considerations. On the right-hand side, you have your approvals, right? So you can have left minimum, right extreme with approvals. And then maybe you ask yourself those 8 questions in the middle. In elementary school, we called it pros and cons, right? Pros and cons. But I think, at this point in the game, PhD students or candidates, leaders and organizations within the community and entrepreneurs, we have to mature our process at some point. And I'm hoping my decision mapping questions help you. I'm going to have these 8 plus 3 questions in the show notes. And I will love your feedback. If this has helped you or over the next, I want to say just the next 3 months as we go into the new year, I know a lot of things are going to pop up. Let me know. I would really want some feedback. I'm going to go back and read the book Essentialism and The One Thing over the next couple of weeks. And look, we are good people. So I'm just an ordinary person trying to do extraordinary things. Ordinary person doing extraordinary things. But I got to have some direction with those things that are presented to me. Look, I believe in you. If you could do me a favor, drop a review on our iTunes. Click on iTunes, click on the show, write a review, 4 or 5 stars with a bit of details. I would love to hear from you. And remember, a personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.